今天是2025年的10月20日，让我们一起来看看这篇报道，说详解英国的涉华间谍案对华政策的未解困境。Inside the sudden collapse of the UK's spy case against China, the accusations were sensational. Prosecutor says that a young British teacher and researchers at the heart of Parliament had worked together as spies for China, funneling sensitive information to Beijing's officials. But weeks before their trial was to begin, the case collapsed. Prosecutors said it had fallen apart because the government would not confirm that at the time of spying, Chinese represented an enemy of a threat to national security. The two men, who had always denied the charge, was acquitted. This week, the government of Prime Minister Keir Starmer, which was under pressure to explain why the case had collapsed, made the unusual decision to release silly court documents that detail some of the accusations against the men. The documents official insight into how British security officials view the rising threat posed by China and its extension information gathering abroad, and they raise tantalizing questions about how Western countries should respond. Consulting for a company or something more sinister. The spying case first came to public attention in April 2024 when the two men, Christopher Cass, then a parliamentary researcher, and Christopher Badry, a teacher and consultant based in China, were charged with gathering and providing information to China that was prejudicial to the safety and interests of the Britain from December 2021 to February 2023. Both men, who met while teaching in China, denied the charge from the start. Mr. Badri said in a statement to the BBC on Thursday that he had written reports for a Chinese company which I believe had clients wishing to develop trading links with the UK, and that his report covered economy and commercial issues in the public domain, together with political conjecture, much of which proved to be inaccurate. Mr. Carr said in a statement on Wednesday that Mr. Barry was a friend who he believed worked for a strategic advisory company helping clients invest in Britain. He acknowledged that he routinely spoke and shared information with him about Chinese and British politics. These were matters we were both personally interested in, he said. I believe him to be critical and concerned about the Chinese Communist Party as I was. It was incomprehensible to me that would deliberately pass on any information to Chinese intelligence. While the allegations were never tested in court, the documents published on Wednesday highlighted the nuggets of politically sensitive information that Mr. Cass was accused of sending to Mr. Betty. Some of it ended up in the hands of one of China's most powerful officials, according to the British government. In May 2022, for instance, the documents say that Mr. Badri told his contact Urban River as an heiress whom the British policy assessed to be a Chinese intelligence agent of a secret meeting between two senior British lawmakers and officials from Taiwan's defense ministry. Mr. Cass sent him a photograph of some of the attendees at the meeting and left a voice note describing it. Mr. Barry told Alice the identities of the Taiwanese officials and noted that they had discussed Taiwan's strategy for a potential attack from China. The documents say, on another occasion in 2022, Alice asked Mr. Bailey about actions that Britain and America would take in relation to imports from Xinjiang. The documents say Congress have banned many imports from the area in 2021 because of false labor concern. The document says that Mr. Barry passed the request on formatted to Mr. Cass and offered to pay for the information, and that Mr. Cass replied with information the same day. The British government's attitude towards Huawei, the Chinese telecommunications giant, were also of interest to Alice, who requested information from Mr. Barry about it at one point in 2022, according to the documents, saying it should be prioritized ahead of other tasks. A meeting with one of the most senior officials in China. All three documents released Wednesday were written by Matthew Collins, Britain Deputy National Security Advisor. He based his statements, which were requested by prosecutors in preparation for the trial, on evidence provided by counter-terrorism officers who had conducted the investigation. In his first report, Mr. Collins said that Mr. Barry met with a senior Chinese Communist Party official in July 2022 in the city of Hangzhou, that Mr. Barry had afterwards left a voice note for Mr. Cass telling him about the meeting. "You are in spy territory now," Mr. Cass replied. The document says. While Mr. Collins daren't not name the Chinese officials, his second statement says the man became Chinese Party secretary in 2017 and was elevated to the Politburo Standing Committee in 2022. Only one person fits this description: Cai Qi, a long-time associated of President Xi Jinping and one of the most powerful men in the Chinese politics. It is highly unlikely that one of the most senior officials in China would meet with Mr. Barry unless the Chinese state consider him to be someone who could obtain valuable information, Mr. Collins writes. Mr. Cass has been the director of the China Research Group, a caucus of the conservative lawmakers focusing on how Britain should respond to the rise of China, or that was blacklisted by Beijing in 2021. Mr. Collins wrote that his role gave Mr. Cass valuable access to senior lawmakers and to information about the government's approach to China and was not in the public domains. Unsolved mysteries. It is impossible to know the full picture that might have emerged in a trial. Did Mr. Cass simply share sensitive information with his friend because he wanted to help him in his job for a private company? Was Mr. Barry's possible meeting with Mr. Chai unrelated to the work he did for the contact known as Alex? Mr. Cass said that he that the release of the documents had placed him in an impossible position because they had not been scrutiny in the court. I have not had the daylight of the public trial to show my innocence, he said. China always rejected the spying charge, and Beijing claimed vindication after the case crashed. The British legal authorities' decision to abandon the charge fully demonstrates that these so-called spying for China allegations were nothing more than a fabrication. 郭家坤a spokesman for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said last week. Mr. Starman was pressured into releasing the statement in an attempt to quell accusations that the government had undermined the case to avoid demanding trade with Beijing, a claim he rejected. The key point in the documents from the government's perspective is that Mr. Collins does not play down the threat posed by China. He writes that its espionage operations threaten the UK economy, prosperity, and resilience, and the integrity of our democratic institutions. But the documents also show that in Mr. Collins' second and third statement, submitted after Labour come to the power, he underlined the government's desire to maintain good relations with Beijing. The UK government is committed to pursuing a politic relationship with China to strengthen understanding, cooperation, and stability, he wrote. Mr. Starmer's opponents argue that the language would have made it harder for prosecutors to prove the man had worked for an enemy of Britain, as specified in the 1911 official secretaries acts under which they were charged, but some legal experts rejected this argument, saying that Mr. Collins' statements include enough to go to trial and suggesting that blame for a case crash may lie with mistakes made by prosecutors. The scandal over the class trial has illuminated one thing clearly. Experts say the unresolved dilemma for Britain over how to manage China, which remains both a major economic trading partner and potentially a dangerous adversary. Thanks for listening. Hoping your life fully with happiness and joyness.